What's going on, guys? Doolum here, back again with another video. And today, we're going to be doing my Cosmic Crucible defense for week number 5. And I've got a special guest helping me out this week. So if you're ready, let's get into it. All right, coming in, we got Mobile freaking Gamer. That's right.
How are you doing?
I am amazing. How are you, good sir?
I'm doing well. I am really liking this season of Cosmic Crucible. It's a little bit turtly, which I don't really like efficiency races. So this lends more to the style that I prefer. And I know not everybody agrees. I'm very aware of this. Some people prefer fast efficiency races. I like the decisions, and we'll talk about what you think and I think is probably, I think New Warriors is the main issue right now in my opinion. New
Warriors has fallen off, man. They're not good in a lot of places now. Like, they used to be the master key, now they're kind of the backup team. Like, they're cleanup for me in some fights. I literally made a whole plan for my round 3 and went, New Warriors are for cleanup. Like, not even an exaggeration. I was like, everything's done. I didn't slot New Warriors, and I didn't have to. So it's interesting how things are changing. But like you said, this season, I think, is one of the best ones ever because the variety in this season is ridiculous. Like, there's something new every time. And I love that about this season. So we're going to start talking about, this is going to be my defense. And as a disclaimer, this is turtle defense. This is as turtle as you get. Like, there's really nothing else you can put on defense unless you're throwing like a secret defenders in there and just kind of screwing yourself for offense. But this is about as turtle as it gets. So for room number 1, we've got Extreme with Rogue and Dormammu. And the Dormammu just causes problems because of the revive, obviously. And it causes issues with possibly killing Forge by accident too quickly or killing somebody else. Then you've got the reflexive taunt from Rogue. Dormammu's always a looming issue of a trauma stun, the charge mechanic, his ult with the rebalance health. I mean, like, this room just causes problems. And I think your opponents had some issues with this in room 1 this week as well.
Yeah, and the counter, I think, that I had success against that room is still pretty... You have to commit resources to it. And that's what this is about, is how much resources you want to commit. And I think what worked for me against that type of thing was MOE Doom.
Yeah.
But exactly what you said was the problem is if you kill Forge too quickly, because Forge is going to revive no matter what from Dormammu. And if you kill Forge right before he takes a turn, then it's a mess, right?
Yeah.
And then he does his ultimate and all kinds of terrible things. Now, if you kind of have to time it correctly to either only kill Forge after when his turn meter is low, or you're going to rely on the King ultimate, which has no revives. And then it's a tricky match. And yes, this can get away from you. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is not an easy matchup at all. It's definitely difficult. And even without the Nightcrawler in here, with his passive, giving speed, all that stuff, this room is still hard. Like, this is taking a big team, and a lot of my opponents were limping through this with like an MOE Doom with Kang at 3 diamond G19, and they barely cleared it. Like, it was just Kang alive. And I'm like, well, that's a win in my books. If you're taking MOE and barely clearing, I'll take it. That's a win.
Right.
So,
and some people are using Sunspot instead of Gambit and putting Gambit with Old Man Logan for the additional health boost.
Yeah.
But this makes your room 1 a lot more tricky by using Gambit there. It's really kind of your choice whether you what you're doing on the screen. You could actually, I'm curious, why did you choose Sunspot instead of Gambit in room 2? Talk about that for a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, so room 2 is interesting, right? So there's a lot of things that people are trying in this.
You're gonna have to cabal this, is the way I see it. This is gonna be a tricky room for sure.
Yeah,
if you don't want to use cabal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't New Warriors it because the Nightcrawler's in there, obviously, and you've got pre-taunt. So Bishop is a pre-taunt, and then also because Bishop's a pre-taunt, Phoenix is a pre-taunt as well. So Phoenix will also be a pre-taunt, and then Sunspot gives offense up, which makes it so that Nightcrawler's doing way more damage. Old Man Logan's doing way more damage, but they also have more positive effects on them. So if you're trying to strip positive effects from them and trying to get those taunts, you could pull the defense up and the offense up and not pull the taunt. So it causes more problems here. And then if Nightcrawler gets to go, essentially Old Man Logan just starts going off. And then also sacking this makes it harder because if Sunspot gets to take a turn and has charges, he's going to come back and give Nightcrawler energy on spawn. So the Nightcrawler can special again, give that speed to Old Man Logan. So sacking can still hurt you here, even with the Sunspot here.
And the Phoenix passive is giving more off defense. There's a damage modifier in Phoenix passive, and then you're sandwiching Old Man Logan in between Bishop and Phoenix, which are both taunting, and then that potential splash onto Old Man Logan is gonna, because once Old Man Logan goes, it's a mess. I mean, that's the reality of this team, is that once he takes a turn and then has bleeds on your side, it's not a good time. And that's Cabal typically wipes that team before they take a turn is the plan. You told me how you would counter this. I don't know, man. That looks like a mess. I don't know. I'm afraid of that one there.
Yeah, and it's an expensive counter too. Trying APOC, 2 Horsemen, and Tangled in here is not easy. And the thought behind that is the 2099 passive would rip off the positive effects on his on turn. So it could potentially rip off the taunts that are there. And then you put an ability block on Nightcrawler, and then it's pretty much over from there because APOC ends up carrying. So that's kind of the counter to that. But the reason why you have the 2 taunts next to Old Man Logan is the Red Hulk counter no longer works. Because if you Red Hulk special, you're going to hit Old Man Logan to give him speed. And you got a lot of problems from there, right? There's always issues when you give Old Man Logan speed. So
and that is the one thing I've noticed this season is that APOC 4 Horsemen is a thing where New Warriors isn't. And that's what I see happening this entire season is that APOC with Archangel and Red Hulk, Rogue is always kind of put off to the side, but more, but those 3 are getting used all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting how they've kind of ebbed and flowed through the meta, and they're definitely back on attack like big time, and it's really nice to see. So now for room number 3. Oof. This one was something that I was kind of wary about when I put it on defense last week, and I was like, man, I'm gonna hurt not having Lizard, aren't I? But honestly, didn't feel it. It was not terrible. It's a little bit of a detriment, right? Because Spider Societies are that much harder, but using Dakin over with SD is a great way to take out Spider Societies. Or if you want to use, you could use either Dakin or you can use Cosmic Ghost Rider as well. So that's another good option as a 5th with SD to take out Spider Society. But this defense just gets so much harder with Lizard on it.
Yeah, because you can use Secret Defenders if you do the Rhino build, and there's actually a lot of counters that you could use. Lizard makes it, you're gonna have to take a big boy team, and big boy team I mean something with APOC, something with Super Skrull, something with Cabal, something with Masters of Evil. I mean, you're really gonna have to, or a combination of those things, right? But you're gonna have to commit not Secret Defender. With Lizard, it's not going to be Secret Defenders. It's definitely not going to be New Warriors, right? It's not going to be some cheese Doom team where Green Goblin's pinging back to you, right? Because that's the thing with Doom, right? It's going to be a problem. So I played against Lizard Sinister 6 last week, and I limped through it. I 2-tapped it, and but that is an offensive risk, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is. You're losing one of the best plug and play characters that just slots into a lot of teams because it's a great counter to Spider Society, and it's a great counter to if they have Secret Defenders on defense. You just throw in Lizard with New Warriors, and it absolutely decimates it. So it's definitely a risk, but I think the risk does not outweigh the reward for having this on defense, because I don't think anybody one-shot it, and if they did, they literally brought in like Sus, Doom, and 3 other good characters and still like limped through it. Like it was Sus and Kraven in a one-on-one, and Kraven barely lost. So like it's definitely pulling a lot, and that's the point of it, right? You got these 3 rooms that are pulling a lot. I'm a dirty turtle. I'm the worst. I'm the worst. God,
this is so all right.
I know.
4 is a known quantity.
Yep.
And I know last week per your suggestion, I ran full Spider Society. There are one tap options that are not. So this is not necessarily a Spider Society room. This is a Black Knight room, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you're gonna do in this room, it needs to have Black Knight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also good for Spider Society, right? Because the way you beat them is control them. Because Peter B, if he's ability blocked, he's kind of useless. But he's going to clear the ability block. If Penny doesn't get that trauma stun, if you're trying to do an SD in here, you lose because Penny just clears the stun. She hits the special, and then they've got a bunch of positive effects, and it's over. So you can't control this team as well because they clear all those negative effects. But that's why BK is so good in here, because the Black Knight puts that trauma on, and they can't clear the negative effects on their turn. So it just causes so many problems, and this room is not to be underestimated at all. This room is ridiculously, ridiculously strong. And Black Knight's obviously one of the best characters in the game.
Yeah, but the thing about Black Knight is that he can be sacked, and then he's dead weight on the second attack, because then his Black Knight's all about the pings, right?
Yeah,
the pings don't work when he's got exhausted, which you were saying that. I think I had to sack this, and then I did like Lizard, New Warriors. I mean, it was always a struggle to find a place to use my New Warriors.
Yeah.
And I think it was sack, Lizard, New Warriors into this team. But, whenever I tried like Lizard, Secret Defenders, that didn't always work. Or Lizard, New Warriors never worked right for me. That team was just a disaster right now.
Yeah.
It just really is.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. And then having the Ghost next to Black Knight as well. So if they do try to one-shot it, then you've got the adjacent damage going on Ghost, but Ghost usually dodges, so a lot of damage is getting dodged there as well. So that's the thought behind the placement there. But yeah, I love this on defense. This Black Knight in 4 is kind of a shoo-in for me to be on defense. And then this one is kind of no surprise to anybody. A lot of people have been running this. It's Sus Hivemind, and it's nasty. Especially if you have other rooms or another room that like Cabal needs to hit, like my room 2, you've got issues, because if you can't just Cabal this room is not easy at all.
Right.
Especially if Super Scroll and Void Knight are on opposing sides, because then Red Hulk can't rewind both of them on turn 1. So that makes it even harder,
Yeah, I think if the placement is wrong, then you could do APOC, Red Hulk, and then speed up the team and maybe do Nova or something like that. And then you could APOC, Red Hulk it, and then just kind of control. But if they're split up, then you're gonna get a random ability block, and then the problem is you're probably gonna have to take in like Emma or Cable, and then that Void Knight is gonna drop them into red. And then the team is gonna pop off. And so then they're really strongly considering using Cabal here. And then what do you do in room 2?
Yeah, then room 2, because room 2, you can't really sack Old Man Logan. Old Man Logan's still nasty after a sack, because if you walk into an ultimate, it's an instant loss. And keeping track of his energy is so hard, because he gets energy on every counter. He gets energy every time he gets hit. It's so hard to keep track of when he's going to ult. So it just causes so many more problems. And that's why I love Sus Hivemind in 5. Plus the revive. Sus gets a revive. Red Goblin gets a revive. Red Goblin has his charge mechanic to revive a Hivemind member. There's so much annoyance in this room that I absolutely love it. And then in room 6, a little boring, but it still takes a good team to beat it. And that's Infinity Watch Quicksilver. You can't just Pegasus this, because Quicksilver just specials turn 1, ults turn 2, gets all the positive effects spread from Nebula, spreads more positive effects to Phyla. Pegasus gets rolled by this. And then you're left with, you have to use Big Time Spider-Man here to put the Disrupt, and probably Tangled here. But then now you don't have Tangled on 5. You also don't have the Tangled comp that I talked about in 2. It's just, you don't have 3 Tangled Webs. You don't have two APOCs. You don't have 3 Cabals. You can't do it,
At a minimum, it's an efficiency sink.
Absolutely.
This is not gonna be a high points room. I can just walk over this. This is a problem. Nebula goes super early, then Quicksilver. Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love this room. And now I will say, someone did Hivemind this and one-shot it. But it was a 3.1 million Hivemind. And it still only got an 8357. So not the best efficiency, but yeah, Hivemind was able to beat it. Take that for what you will. I wouldn't recommend trying that, because it did not look like a fun fight. But if you are in a pinch, maybe you can full hive mind it. But once again, I wouldn't recommend that. But this is going to be my defense for week number 5. I am a dirty, dirty turtler. I vowed to myself I would never do this, but here I am being a disgusting human, and I can't live with myself. But you know what? I'm around, rank 300 in the world. I'm trying to break top 200 for the first time ever at the end of season rewards. So you got to do some crazy things to pull it off. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We're also going to make a video on Mobile Gamer's channel as well, because he's amazing, and he's going to have some options that don't involve Super Turtle. And he's also going to go over some options for his baby account too, which is pretty awesome.
I feel like a lot of people might be watching this video and saying, I don't have Super Scroll, I don't have Apocalypse, I'm not dealing with a lot of these things. But most people have access to Black Knight and Old Man Logan, and there is a way to make Crucible miserable for your opponent with those 2 characters. Absolutely.
So let's tune into that video so we can make sure we know how your baby account's going, but also some alternatives for your big boy account. But until next time, this has been Duelum and Mobile Gamer. Later, y'all.